Hey, this is Leo for Actualized.org. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to beware of false prophets. Eloquence, at its greatest pitch, leaves little room for reason. This is one of my favorite quotes from David Hume, and one of my favorite quotes of all time. And especially when I was growing up, and I was going through high school and through college, I really adopted this quote, and I really fell in love with this quote because I felt like there was something so true to this. There's so much bullshit, so much nonsense, so much disinformation that comes when people get sucked in to the cult of personality. And that's what I want to talk about in this video, because this is a very dangerous thing that leads many people astray in their personal development. Dooms them for life. Makes them lost for life. Makes them believe stupid ideas, makes them buy into dogmas, makes them angry, bitter, resentful, defensive, egotistical, violent, and many, many more negative qualities like this, which we want to avoid with personal development. Actually, the quote goes on, Hume's quote goes on, and it goes like this. It says, "Eloquence at its greatest pitch leaves little room for reason or reflection, but addresses entirely to the desires and affections, captivating the willing hearers and subduing their understanding." Which is exactly the danger of it. When something sounds really nice, when something sounds very flowery, when someone's very eloquent, when someone's a good speaker, when someone can make a really good case, present something beautifully, someone knows how to pitch something to you, that's usually when you got to watch out the most. Because all of that talk, it's not letting you come in contact with the truth via direct experience. What you've got, no matter how well said something is what you've got hearsay. You've got someone reporting something to you. And you always have to keep this in mind. So the key here is to understand that there is a cult of human personality. And human nature is such, it's like your mind and your brain is literally programmed, hardwired for following strong leaders. This is how the human species is just evolved. We evolved presumably because in the past, we used to live in tribes, and in these tribes were run by leaders. So there was always the few who were passing down authority and information to the many, and the many would work for the few, and there was a hierarchy, like a caste system. This is just part of our evolution and our history. Now the problem is that in modern times, we've really come a long ways, and we've shed a lot of that, which is great. It's amazing. I think it's one of the most important developments in human history and evolution is the doing away of these caste systems and false authority. But still, our brains leave us very susceptible to giving authority to people very easily and just trusting that authority. And not just authority, but it's like, it's not just we're like buying in and believing bullshit from people. I mean, that definitely happens. But I'm actually even more interested in this video to talk about the more nuanced case where you're an intelligent human being, you're smart, you're well educated, you went to college, you view yourself as independent, you do a lot of personal development. And yet still, you fall into the trap of the cult of human personality. And this is simply that you're really persuaded by someone's likability and someone's charisma. This is something that's very difficult to separate yourself out from. So for example, you're watching a video on YouTube. Someone's presenting some sort of information or point to you. Maybe it's me, maybe it's somebody else. It doesn't matter. Now, you're listening to this person can have a different manner, different style, different personality. They can be funny, they can be serious, they can be abrasive, they can be very calm and peaceful. It doesn't really matter what their style is. But inevitably what's going to happen is that you're going to resonate to certain styles and personalities more than you are to others. And you're going to tend to make this mistake of saying, well, I really like this person. He really resonates with me. There's something that, like, he really understands where I'm coming from, or the way she talks is funny and interesting, and I really like it. It's really humorous to me, or whatever. So there, what's happening is that your tastes are getting played on. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with liking someone that you're listening to. I mean, I do that too. But you have to be very careful, because it's a very slippery slope. And what tends to happen is that as soon as you fall in love with the style and manner and personality of this person, and maybe you even then fall in love with his ideas too. So, it just kind of like starts this slippery slope. And then sooner or later, what's happening is that you're just ceding your own authority and mind over to that person. And you're not all of a sudden being as analytical and as critical as you ought to be of their ideas. I say this about myself, and I say this about other people, right? I see sometimes in the comment section, someone say, oh, you're a genius, or oh, this person is brilliant, or oh, look at this. Like, it's this sense of worship, right? It's worshiping of false prophets. That's basically what it is. You have to be really careful about this whole style thing, because the style and manner of what is being communicated to you, if it's a serious communication, is irrelevant. It really doesn't matter. And if you're attracted to the style, this will get you very lost in life. Very lost. And even if you're attracted to the ideas because you feel like, oh, this idea, it's a really cool idea. I always thought that way myself. I know this is right. Or yeah, this is just a very beautifully articulated idea. You have to be careful about that too. Because just because an idea is beautiful, just because it sounds nice to you, just because it's simple and elegant and eloquent, says nothing about the validity of that idea. And even if that idea is valid, that's hearsay no matter how you slice it. It's always hearsay. Everything I tell you, including what I'm telling you right now, is just hearsay. You have to have an independence, your own critical thinking, your own faculties, to analyze all this stuff and piece it together for yourself. Do not outsource this to anybody else. Very, very dangerous. I see people outsourcing this and just saying, let that person handle it. And usually you don't do it consciously. So you don't say that, hey, I'll just let him do all the critical thinking for me. That usually is not how it happens, because that's too obvious. Your brain is very subtle about this in the ways that it gets deceived. Politicians will do it. Religious leaders will do it. YouTube celebrities will do it. Self-help gurus will do it. Spiritual gurus will do it. Leaders at work will do it. Your business partner might do it. The person in your marriage might do it. It doesn't really matter. This is how humans work, is that we try to persuade and influence each other. And persuasion, we always think, and we tell ourselves, well, persuasion, I get persuaded by logical arguments, and I get persuaded by the meat of the matter. But that's very rarely the case. Usually, if you're very self-honest, and this takes a lot of open-mindedness and self-honesty to admit, because you can see yourself doing it. When you're persuading somebody else, when you want something from them, it's very difficult to stay objective. It's very difficult to stick to the issues. Usually what happens is that you start to diverge and talk about all sorts of irrelevant stuff. Basically, you're building up that cult of personality, and you're trying to persuade people. Persuasion doesn't happen usually through logical argument. It's hard to persuade someone through logical argument. It's a lot easier to persuade them through emotions, and so that's how persuasion usually happens, is through emotional appeals. What are some examples of this? I mean, I read a lot of comments. I read pretty much all the comments that you guys leave me under the videos and on my website. And I hear stuff, who likes what, who doesn't like what you guys are into, who you're watching, who you're following. And also, I follow some of these people too. And I think that some people are really great. I mean, I love learning from experts. So this is not to say that you shouldn't learn from experts. I think there's literally thousands of experts that if I could just send you to all those experts, that would be amazing. And if you actually were committed enough to study from each one of those experts, and you put the time and effort into it, I would send you to all those experts. But most of you don't have that time. And the point here is that experts are cool, just like don't cede everything to them. Don't put them up on a pedestal. Don't idolize them. This is not necessary. In fact, this is very dangerous to you. So here's some examples. A lot of you guys who watch my videos also watch RSD videos. RSD videos are great. I've watched many of them. But RSD is definitely a cult of personality that you have to be really careful about. A lot of the RSD instructors, they're charismatic, they're funny, they have interesting and cool ideas, and a lot of that stuff blows your mind and it's great. But also, I really see this kind of like cult of personality happening there, and I noticed it myself because I watched a lot of their videos, and I really just like get sucked into it to the point where my mind stops working independently, which is a very bad thing. And as much as RSD talks about groupthink, that's a really big theme throughout all RSD content, is groupthink, how dangerous it is. But actually, RSD is a very dangerous pit of groupthink. So be careful about that. And I know personally a lot of people who are involved with RSD. I've met pretty much all the instructors face to face. So I know these people, and I know the people that follow these people. And there's this definite tendency to just kind of like buy into the groupthink. Elliott Hulse, I love Elliott Hulse, but again, don't idolize him. If he gives you good ideas, great. The ideas are good. Let the ideas stand on their own merit, but not on his personality, because he's got a great personality. That personality is very attractive. That personality is like, oh yeah, I want to be like him, or he really inspires me, and that's great. But separate that out, right? You can be inspired by Elliott Hulse, but separate that out from the merit of what he's talking about. And I think he talks about a lot of great stuff that has amazing merit. So, no real bones to pick with him, other than that you can take Elliott Hulse's material and turn it into crap by turning it into this false prophet situation. Eckhart Tolle, I think this is a big one too. A lot of people talk about Eckhart Tolle as though like, oh my God, Eckhart Tolle, amazing, read The Power of Now, read his other books, and it's like, oh, it blows your mind and it's so enlightening. And Eckhart Tolle is an amazing human being. He's an enlightened human being. You can watch his videos, you can read his books, great, I recommend it. Again, don't turn him into a false prophet. And by the way, all of these people, the people that I'm talking about, they will tell you the same thing themselves, right? They actually face this problem themselves because they have a lot of followers, they have a lot of viewers, and they'll tell you this themselves, at least if they're very honest. They should be telling you this. They should be sensitive to this kind of stuff. Tony Robbins, a lot of people love Tony Robbins. People talk about Tony Robbins because he's kind of like the father of modern personal development, of self-help. He's just like the easy example to use, and that's great. And I mean, I love Tony Robbins. I watched a lot of his stuff. I started on Tony Robbins material. The first self-help book that I read was a Tony Robbins book, or actually it was a CD program of his. So I mean, that's awesome. But again, don't think that Tony Robbins has every aspect of life nailed and that he understands every aspect of life, because he doesn't. I can find you areas where Tony Robbins is deficient in his understanding of life. And that's fine. I'm not trying to say like I'm better than Tony Robbins. Like I honestly don't care. Like I don't want to compare myself to these people. I'm just saying like don't just like cede blind authority to these people, even though they have amazing accomplishments. I mean, the stuff that Tony Robbins has accomplished, I would not accomplish probably in 10 lifetimes. He's a very achievement-oriented guy. He's had amazing talent. He's an amazing speaker. He can do amazing things on stage. And I'm sure he helps a lot of his clients and stuff in really powerful ways. But don't turn him into a false prophet. You can also, of course, go back to the old school prophets, the actual prophets, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, whoever else you might want to follow from your, based on your religion or your tradition and your culture. Even these guys, you might think, well, but these guys are the original prophets. No, they're not the original prophets. In fact, these guys, the way that they have been false prophetized, turned into false prophets by all the people that came after them after thousands of years, it's really turned into a travesty, a real travesty. And if you read, for example, the writings of Buddha, you can see that he's very much against this kind of stuff, very much against it. Jesus, I'm pretty sure he would be appalled at what has been done with his teachings after 2,000 years, because it's been turned into just complete nonsense. these kind of people, they don't want you to take them as prophets. It's actually a very egotistical thing to want to be a prophet, to be put on some sort of pedestal, to think that you're special, and to use this kind of authority to influence people. Like a self-honest, intellectually honest person is never going to want to do that. It's not it's just a very disgusting way to lead others. And it's not that they're trying to fool you. I think that actually what happens here is not that any of these people that we talked about is fooling you in any way. Most of them are pretty honest individuals, and they're doing the right thing. The problem is with you. It's not really with them. You're the one who likes their personality so much that you want to idolize them. And you want to think that they're amazing, and you want to think that they're special, that they're unique, and that there's something about them that's like, oh man, they're a genius. There's just like something about this person. Like, oh, Albert Einstein, he's a genius. I could never be like that, or he could never match that. This is the stuff you got to really be careful of. This issue of authority is important because what all these people have in common, people who influence lots of people, what they have is they have authority. And the thing you got to understand about authority is that there's only one real authority, and that all other authorities are fake authorities. Real authority is truth. Truth with a capital T. And I'll talk more about that in other videos because this is a very important idea. And very many people are confused about what truth with a capital T actually is and what it means. But just briefly, truth with a capital T is direct experience. Personal direct experience by you. It's not even that you can trust yourself to analyze the experience. That's already a step removed from truth. Although that would be much better than what most of you guys are doing, which is living your life based on hearsay, what other people are telling you. Truth is direct experience. It's direct insight of the question and matter at hand. So even scientific knowledge, which you might say as the pinnacle of truth, even this doesn't qualify really as truth. It's not real truth. It's hearsay, which is masqueraded under kind of an assertion of truth. It's really a form of persuasion. That's what scientific truths are. Real truth is direct experience of it. So for example, if you sit down and you actually do the science experiment yourself, and you see what's happening there, and you see the truth of it, there you got a taste of the real truth. That's real authority. And notice that real authority is impersonal. There's nothing personal about it. It has nothing to do with human nature or human beings. It's impersonal. It's not even contained in language. Language doesn't carry truth very well. Of course, we have to rely on language and we have to rely on hearsay because there's just so much stuff to know. There's so many experiments to run that we couldn't possibly run them all in our own lives. It would take us a million lifetimes to do it. So we have to rely on hearsay. And of course, then there's the whole game about, well, which hearsay is accurate and which ones are not, which hearsay is not accurate. And, that's a whole field of study. You can go in there and start to study and analyze all this stuff and compare this stuff. This is a passion of mine. I spent a lot of years comparing and studying different ideas, different philosophies. I was a philosophy major for this reason, because I was really interested in dissecting and comparing and contrasting all these different ideas and cosmologies and ways of thinking and metaphysics and all this stuff and religion and philosophy. It was just very fascinating to compare and contrast all this stuff. And so you'll do that, but don't trick yourself into thinking that just because you do some analysis on the hearsay that you've actually got real authority. Real authority comes from direct experience. This also means that any authority that you give to a human being is false and fake authority. Even if this human being is a really nice, stand-up, honest guy, and he's really funny and charming, and he's actually telling you accurate and true things, that's still a fake authority. And that authority, sometimes it's him who appropriates this authority, but a lot of times it's you who gives him that authority because your mind is designed to follow. Sometimes it leads, but a lot of times it's designed to follow. Even leaders are also great followers. So just because you have a leadership position does not make you immune. There's still probably somebody else out there that you're idolizing, who you turn into a false prophet because you want to give them this fake authority. It's like a constant battle in your mind. You have to stay vigilant throughout your entire life to this thing. It never really goes away. You have to stay vigilant. And what I see is people just are not vigilant, and they want to relinquish their vigilance, and they just want to say, oh, whatever, I'll just kind of coast through life. And they end up coasting through life and getting themselves stuck into a lot of philosophical, mental masturbation, just a real quagmire of conceptual bullshit. And also what this does is this creates dogma. This creates firm, entrenched beliefs, which close your mind down so that your mind is not open enough now to explore other areas of life that you haven't considered before. And you might think that, well, this is not too impactful to my result and to my development and to my success in life. But let me tell you that this is incredibly impactful. And in fact, one of the missions of Actualized.org that I'm going to be promoting more and more as I shoot more videos is really open-mindedness and like getting away from the dogma. Because dogma and closed-mindedness is one of the most dangerous things, and one of the things that really cripples your personal development the most. It's really dangerous on a personal level. It's also dangerous on a social level. On a social level, it can cause real disasters. The other interesting thing that I've been really experiencing the last year is I've been getting more followers and my YouTube channel's been growing. That's been kind of cool. I've never thought of myself as having some celebrity status or anything. But actually now, like if I go out, sometimes people will meet me and will recognize me like, hey, you're that guy. I know you from somewhere. That's always funny to me. Just because like, oh, like I can't believe that someone would recognize me. But I've had people like recognize me at the gym and stuff. It's funny, it's fun, it's cool. But one thing that I really recognized in studying how people develop followings, how people build YouTube channels, and how people build websites, and how people build political followings and stuff, what you start to discover is that authority is very easy to manufacture. It's really easy to manufacture. And what's shocking is that people don't understand just how easy it is to manufacture this stuff. It's really, really easy. And the reason that is because your mind is very quick to jump to assumptions about people who you perceive out in the public, but you don't actually know. So for example, it's funny because I'll watch people watching my videos, and then below in the comments, they'll leave some sort of comment where they say something like, it's hard to come up with a specific example, but like the gist of their comment will be something along the lines of, oh, Leo, he's got this part of his life handled. He's got it all handled. Like for example, I have this video that's called How to Stop Caring What People Think About You. It's really one of my most popular videos. People love that video. And in the comments, some people will write, oh, I shouldn't be thanking Leo because he doesn't care what other people think of him. And this is like so ridiculous. I can't believe that people would assume just because I shoot a video called How to Stop Thinking What Other People Think of You, and I talk about it, I bring up some good points there. I understand the topic, but that doesn't mean that I literally don't care what people think about me. That would be a very difficult state for me to achieve. I'm always chipping away at it, but a lot of the stuff that I talk to you guys about, I'm not perfect at that. You understand that, right? I'm not perfect at it at all. So if you watch a meditation video of mine, I tell you to sit up straight, and I tell you to meditate for 20 minutes, and I tell you to clear your mind of ideas and thoughts and stuff. What you tend to do is you tend to assume, oh, Leo does that perfectly. And when I tell you to stop caring about what people think about you, you'll be like, oh, Leo does that perfectly. And when I tell you that you should go and exercise or eat healthy or something else like that, you're going to say, oh, he's telling me because he's got it nailed. He's got it locked down. And, at some of this stuff, I'm pretty good. At some of these things, I've really worked hard and I've developed some really good habits, but I'm fallible like everybody else. And not always do I have this stuff locked down. And it's funny because when I see people assuming this stuff about me, I start to see all of a sudden in my mind, it's like, oh my God, that's how it happens. That's how the false prophet thing works. That's why it spreads. It's like a virus that spreads through society. Because what happens is that someone can be very genuine and honest and come up here and tell you just very precisely all the stuff without fabricating anything. But what you're going to do what your mind is going to do, because you don't really know the person, you're making unconscious assumptions about this person all the time. And then when you meet that person face to face, maybe you have dinner with him like in a more private, intimate setting, get to really know him, you'd be like, oh damn, you're totally different than what I thought you were like. Because see, you're watching me through a little screen right here. When I'm standing in front of a camera, that's like almost like wearing a certain mask that I wear. I try to be authentic here, but still, like, it's not the authentic me, because of course I'm playing up a little bit to my audience. And of course, you have certain expectations for me, and so I have certain expectations for myself. This is also kind of like a business of mine. So there's like a lot of stuff that goes in here that doesn't allow for like a totally genuine communication. And also, you're looking at me in a very narrow context, this little window. It's a very little window, right? You don't see me with my family. You don't see me with my girlfriend. You don't see me doing meditation. You don't see me doing a lot of this stuff. And when I'm doing those things, I'm in a different headspace. I'm in a different mood. I'm behaving differently. All of us do that. You can see this in yourself. When you're at work, you behave in a different way. You have a certain mask that you put on when you're at work. When you're with your family, you have another mask that you put on there. When you're with your girlfriend or boyfriend, then you have a certain mask you put on there. And so if I just observed you only at work, I wouldn't really get the full picture of you. I would have to observe you in all these different areas to really get a good sense of who you are as a human being. And so this is how the false prophet thing happens, is because when you don't have direct access to the person, which usually you don't, right? You don't really know, for example, what Barack Obama is like. You've never met him. You've only seen short snippets of him on TV in a very, very contrived setting. You don't really know what George Bush was like. You don't really know what Osama bin Laden was like. You don't really know what Hitler was like. You don't really know what Jesus was like, or what the Buddha was like, or what even Tony Robbins is like. I mean, just because you might say, well, I've been to Tony Robbins' event. I've seen him in person. Well, yeah, maybe you've seen him in person, but you've seen him on stage in a huge commercial setting with thousands of people watching him. That's not necessarily the real Tony Robbins. Have you seen Tony Robbins when he's sitting with his wife or with his kids? I imagine that would be a very different Tony Robbins. And maybe he's very authentic. I believe he probably is quite authentic. And then he's probably got similarities between how he interacts with his wife and his kids and how he interacts with people, but who knows? You don't know. You just assume this. You assume this stuff, but there's no evidence to back it up. And more interestingly is that the person you're assuming it about doesn't even want you to assume it about them. So for example, when people assume about me that I don't care what other people think about me, I don't even want that, because this is like a burden that now I have to bear. It feels kind of heavy, because it's like, oh damn, like what if someone ever saw me caring about what someone thinks about me? I would look like a hypocrite. Even though I never went out there and said that I literally don't care what people think about me. It's just like an assumption that someone put upon me. And that's fine. That's kind of the burden of being a public figure and having people know you. So, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that be careful, because it's you who's doing it. It's you who's doing it. You're falling in love with the personality. So the bottom line is that, number one, no one is truly authoritative. No human being is authoritative. Number two is that no human being is special. Number three is that no human being is better than you. Number four is that no human being is unbiased. Every human being is biased. Every human being grows up in a culture, in an environment, and within groupthink. So even if the human being that's communicating to you believes, very honestly, wholeheartedly believes that everything they're telling you is true and accurate, this does not mean that they're immune from infecting you with their groupthink and their cultural influences and their traditions and all that stuff. It's all still there. In some people less than others, but it's all still there. So the biases are there. There's commercial biases, there's social biases, there's political biases, there's personal biases, there's traditions and cultures and religions. There's so many biases that are being communicated to you by these people that you watch and that you admire. So be really careful about that. And lastly is that no one is a genius. I hear this one thrown around like, oh, this person is untouchable, he's just a genius, like pure brilliance, as though you couldn't arrive at that situation, that place yourself. See, you have to see yourself as just as capable as these other people. I want you to believe, for example, that if you dedicate yourself hard enough and you work hard enough, that you can develop yourself to a really high level within personal development. Whatever you think of me, I don't think of myself as like super personally developed or whatever, but like some people will say, Leo, are you self-actualized? To me, this is funny. Like, self-actualization is a process that continues for your whole life. There's no end point that you reach. But if you think that, oh, well, Leo is pretty self-actualized and I would never be able to live up to him, like, that's a really dangerous assumption. You should think that, oh, he's just a normal guy who's just shooting videos, sharing some information with me. Some of his information's good, some of it's not so good. Let me take the good stuff, let me try it out myself, field test it, apply it in my life, and I can become like him, or I can become a little different than him, but whatever is, I can advance and develop and go even higher. That's how you gotta think. You gotta really flatten the whole hierarchy thing. There's no hierarchy in life. Nobody is above you. There's no like magical pope who's infallible. This is a really dangerous and silly idea. And the really bad news here is that you're listening to all this and it's making perfect sense to you. Everything I'm telling you makes perfect sense, but you're still going to get lost. You're still going to fall prey to this. Why? Because I notice myself falling prey to it too. Even though I know this stuff, it's not enough to just know it and to agree with it. You have to stay vigilant all the time and really watch out for this cult of personality thing. You got to really watch out for it. So in summary, stay vigilant. All right, this is Leo. I'm signing off. Go ahead, post me your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think. Click the like button if you like this video. Help it spread around. Share it on Facebook. Share it with a friend so that more people get to watch these videos and I can release more free content for you. And speaking of more free content, come and sign up to my newsletter at Actualized.org. I release new videos every single week. There's cool sign-up bonuses right now. You can get exclusive videos there. I've also got MP3 downloads, which are new. I've just released those. So all my old videos, you can get those as MP3s to listen on your iPod or your smartphone if you want. Keep that stuff mobile. That's available for free, so go sign up, check some of that stuff out. But the reason you really want to follow along is because I really am excited about sharing these advanced mindsets with you that help you to master and understand your life. I really am passionate about helping you understand life. I want you to have this really big, cohesive picture that's very accurate, that's very practical, that you can use to create whatever you want. Sometimes we talk about very practical stuff. Sometimes we talk about more philosophical, more abstract stuff that's not immediately obvious how it applies to your life. For example, this thing here, a little bit more philosophical and kind of maybe profound or deep. But you got to trust that all this stuff is going to come together for you, like a giant puzzle that you're assembling. Every little piece comes together. And so every week I'm delivering new pieces. Come watch these pieces, sign up, they're free, and you'll be developing this amazing understanding of life. With this understanding of life, you'll be able to self-actualize, you'll be able to create the success, the fulfillment, the peace, the happiness you want, the relationships you want. All that stuff starts with a very accurate and deep understanding, which I feel like a lot of people are missing. I know that because I spent the last 5 years developing this understanding for myself, and actually longer, because in school I was really interested in this stuff too. So if you take my schooling into account, it's probably more like 10 or 15 years. And I still feel like I'm just scratching the surface of understanding all the stuff that I need to understand to really create the kind of life that I want. So I'm really excited about sharing that stuff with you. Sign up for that because it's free.